Yo, welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a while. I haven't been posting videos consistently lately, but today I'm back with another cool video about tech house and minimal house stabs, and we're gonna make something like that today. Alright, for those of you who are new to the channel, my name is Vlad and I create superstar music producers. If you're interested in one-on-one coaching and you want to work with me on your music, feel free to book a call with me. There's a link down below, or you can also send me a message on Instagram. So without further talking, let's get straight into the video. So I have prepared a presentation and I have split the whole thing into a couple of different parts. So the first thing that I want to talk about is going to be the music theory. So let's take a look at the possible chords variations that you can use for your tech house and minimal house stabs. So number one is going to be like the basic minor like triad, or like how you call it. Second one is going to be the spicy chord, and the variation 3 is going to be 7th, 9th, and 11th chords. So they all have different vibes, so make sure you try it out after you watch the video, because they can give you like a really different mood for each of the chords, right? So let's take a look at the minor chords so you know how to build those chords. So let's say we are in C. And to make a minor chord, it's really simple. So all you have to do is to count the amount of semitones between the first note and the second note. So let's say we're gonna have the root notes, so 1, 2. This is the amount of semitones that you need, and then 1, 2, 3. So basically, the code for the minor chord is 0, 2, 3, where 0 is the root note, 2 is the amount of semitones between the first and the second note, and 3 between the second and third note. So once again, it's like 2 and 3, right? For major, it will be 0, 3, 2, right? So this is the minor and this is the major. So all you can see is just the difference between like the second note, right? So let's jump back into Ableton, and then I'm gonna show you how to make those chords basically. So let's start with the minor chord, which sounds like this, right? So this is the minor one. So all we have to do is to set the note in the root note, then count 1, 2, you have the space 2, and then here 3, so 1, 2, 3. This is the minor chord. To make this spicy variation of this chord, all you have to do is copy the note and put it one note down, the second one, right? So it sounds like this. It's giving you that spicy, a little bit like dissonant. I just love this sound like so much. It's just so good, right? This is gonna be the spicy one. The major one is like this. And then the last variation is going to be the 7th, 9th, and all those possible variations. So it's going to be like this. So 2, 3, then again 2, then again 3, and then again 2. And you can basically repeat this process like how much you want. Like, so this is, I think, the 11th chord. That is giving you that bright, housey kind of vibe. We can put it like, I think it's a little bit too dark. Let's say we're gonna put it at, it's giving you this like housey kind of vibe. So that's it for the music theory. You can see it's not that complicated. All you have to do is just like play around with different chord variations. So now let's talk about the sound design. So basically there's going to be two types of the stabs in your track. So number one is the slow attack, which has rounded and soft sound, and the second one is going to be the fast attack, so plucky, energetic, and more aggressive. So let's take a look at both of these sounds. So if we take a look at the plucky one, you can see that the envelope for the sound is going to be plucky, right? So we have the main envelope, like the main volume envelope, which looks like this, and then we have the second envelope, which is like really plucky. So you can see it doesn't have a lot of sustain. And when it comes to the sound design, really the most important things that you have to take a look at is going to be your oscillators, so those two, and then the filter. That's the foundation of a good tech house stab, right? So I'm gonna tweak the parameters just a little bit so you can see the difference. So let's listen to this sound, right? If I increase the length of this one and let's say I make something more like, now it has more sustain, right? So depending on how plucky, how aggressive you want to make your you want to make your synth sound, you can play with that, right? So you can make it like really plucky, like this. It's cool. Maybe you want to do it something more like this, right? It's going to be like this. The second type is going to be the long one, so it's going to sound like this basically. Let's take a look at this sound. This is the second variation of the stab. This one is really simple. What it is simply just the sine wave, right? So it's just the sine wave with a long attack. I can give you another example with a different waveform. Let's say that's going to be like, let's take analog basic shapes. And let's say it's going to be like a saw. So this is the soft one, like the slow attack variation for the plucky, for the stab. Like I would still call it a stab. I don't know if that's the right name, but just to be able to put it in a different category so it's easier to understand, I would call it a stab, right? So again, the whole difference is just in the ADSR. So it could be for the filter, it could be for the main envelope basically, right? So yeah, that's basically it. So as you can see, we can tweak it. If we do it like this, it's gonna be plucky. If we do it like, we can make it really slow, right? Like this. So this is pretty much it for the types of the stabs that you're going to be using for your tracks. The next thing is going to be the main parameters that you have to look at. So when it comes to stabs, really what you have to take a look at is going to be the filter, the volume envelope, so envelope 1 you can see, and the filter envelope. Let me walk you through those parameters. So let's say we're going to have envelope 1. By the way, you can just use one envelope if it makes sense for your track. For example, it could be like this, and we could close it a bit. So we could use one envelope for the filter and for the synth sound. But then again, if you decide that you want to do something more complex, you can do like this. Use the second envelope, put it on the filter, and then we pretty much have like the classic stab, right? And then by using different filters, let's say MGLO 18, it's a little bit brighter compared to MGLO 24, right? But these are sort of the main parameters when it comes to these stabs basically, right? So let me check what's going to be next. Okay, so those are the main parameters, filter and envelopes, pretty much it. Really, it's as simple as that, trust me. Now let's take a look at the next part, really important one. So what kind of waveforms could you use for your stabs? What I notice is that simple waveforms, they tend to sound better when it comes to house stabs. However, it doesn't mean that you can't use complex waveforms. I'm going to give you two examples. So this one is a basic waveform, right? We can, for example, layer it with, yeah, let's say maybe a square, right? Could be like this. Square one is also pretty nice, I like it. And then if we compare it to the different one, which is going to be more like digital, let's say that's going to be dist C2, and then you can read the name and copy from Serum. It's going to sound a little bit different. It's going to give you a different character. So it's not like that it is a rule that you have to use basic waveforms. It's just more about my taste. I prefer like more classic ones, but then again, I think this one sounds good and I would use it in my track. Right, it's still pretty cool. And then you can tweak the position like this, maybe something like this, right? So it changes the character, right? Maybe we can do like just as simple as that, right? So it's pretty cool. So for the waveforms, it doesn't really matter what kind of waveforms you use as long as you follow the principle with the filter thing, right? So pretty simple, okay? Just try different waveforms and then you're gonna be able to pick the ones that you like the most. Okay, now let's talk about the next really important thing, how to add more movements, like advanced modulation. So what I noticed is that sometimes your chords, they may sound kind of like too boring if you don't add modulation, automation, things like that. So one of the easiest and the best things that you can do is mapping the velocity and the note to your filter. So let me show you how you can do that. So for example, we're gonna take let's say this one. Let's remove the reverb, and then we are going to map the velocity. So let's map the velocity almost all the way up. Remove modulators. I just want to do that once again. Velocity, let's do it like all the way up, and then let's say we're gonna copy the chords here. Right, so let's open this one and then let's close this one. And then in the context of the mix, it's gonna sound really good. So just listen with the reverb. It adds so much like dynamics to the sound. Right, and then again we can add different notes to the chord here. Right, we can do like this because again we mapped the notes, so depending on the notes it will open or close the filter as well. Right, so really simple thing that you can do, but it's really effective. So let me check what we have next. Yeah, so this is the thing that you can try, and then if you want to be a little bit more, if you want to make more complex sounds, what you can do as well is you can try automating different parameters. For example, you can do unison, and you can use unison. I'm going to show you. No reverb here. So it has that wide kind of feeling, right? So what you can do with your sounds is you can assign, let's say envelope 2. You can assign it like this. And then it's going to give you a little bit of that wide feeling to both of the oscillators. So let's do like this, and then like this. Right, so it's giving just a tiny bit, but it's already more interesting and more complex compared to just like the regular sound, right? Like this. Really interesting. So just try modulating the wavetable position, detuning. Maybe if you choose different warping from here, you can also automate that. Let's say like if that's going to be bend or something like this, right? Depends on the sound. So that's for the modulation. And you can also modulate the effects here, right? So you can assign envelope 2 to this one. So whatever works best for you, okay? So let's talk about the next thing that we have here. So bonus tip, try automating the filter on longer sounds. So what we can do here is, I'm going to show you on this synthesizer. So I automated the synth, and this is how it sounds. So it doesn't have filter modulation. So it's fully closed, and once I open, you're gonna see how good it's gonna sound. Just giving you this nice, like this, right? And then in the mix, really cool. So you can try that. It just sounds so good. Okay, so little bonus tip for you here. And then when it comes to the processing, usually I tend to use very little processing on my stabs. So usually it's just a little bit of like saturation, EQ, compression. As this is like, again, quite simple sound, it doesn't require a lot of processing. So if you dial in the right settings, as you've seen in the patches that I did, the stabs, they sound really good. So it does need a lot of processing. But again, like this is not the rule. You can try saturation, you can try For example, let me just show this one to you. So we can do like this. Let me remove the detuning here. For example, we could use a bit of distortion. Maybe you want to do something like this, right? And then we could add the reverb. Maybe you want to use a bit of phaser. Maybe like this. Maybe you want to use some EQ and you want to filter out, let's say, the wait, this one is loading. I don't know why, but it just doesn't seem to work. But you get the point, right? So if let's say you want to use the EQ and filter out like the mids, you can do something like this. So again, when it comes to the processing, there are no rules. Maybe you want to do, yeah, again, like something, you want to cut out the mids, right? So depends on the taste. This is about like not spatial processing. So this is about like compression, saturation, and things like that. But when it comes to the spatial processing, this one is a little bit more interesting. So this is one of my favorite processing chains. You can see all I have is the auto filter, reverb, and the delay. And then I'm going to show you the sound. So I think it was probably, was it this one? Yeah, so you can see really simple synth, again, same concept. And then it sounds, I think it's another one. Yeah, it's actually this one. So it doesn't have any send reverb. So we are using different velocity to open and close the filter. And then you can see that we use auto filter, reverb, and the delay. So one really important concept that I want to explain here is the combination of deep and long sounds in your tracks. So as this one. And then you can use contrast between those two sounds. You can have deep and wide sounds, and then you can have short, maybe long, but more like dry sounds like this one. Right? So this sound is, it's not deep. It has like really short delay time. So by combining, if you take a look at the settings here, this one is really short, right? So the decay time is 851 milliseconds. And in this one, it's 3 seconds. So it's almost like 3 times more than the second one. And the same goes for the delay. So try combining, this is a good representation. So try combining long delays, like deep sound, with very short sounds, like small room, short delay. And by doing this contrast between different spaces and dimensions, it's going to give you like really interesting and wide mix. So again, let me play you the loop, and then you're going to hear. So there's a really big difference between short sounds and long sounds. I mean, like reverb wise. So for example, again, if we take this one and we put really short delay time, and let's say it's gonna be just like something like this. Let me solo. So it's really short. That's the thing. It's really short compared to like the classic pinpoint thing, right? So those are pretty much like all of the concepts that you can use. And then again, you can see you can use different note lengths, you can use different processing, but really the key here is understanding the music theory behind it, spatial processing, and sound design in the synthesizer itself. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the tutorial. That's all I wanted to say. So I hope that you learned something new in like making steps. I tried to put together everything like in a really easy and simple way to consume. So yeah, as always guys, I appreciate you watching the videos. If you like, don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, you know the deal. Leave me a comment below. And again, if you're interested in coaching, if you want to work one-on-one on your music with me, all links down below. And I see you guys in the next one.